Reports in the Chinese media, the company's been fined $40 million for anti-competitive practices. This is part of an ongoing investigation into alleged price fixing in the auto industry that's reportedly implicated 1,000 firms. Now, the Chinese authorities had already announced that they would punish Audi for breaking the country's anti-monopoly laws without giving details of exactly what they had done. Now, Audi admitted that its sales arm in Hubei province had broken the rules, but haven't commented on these reports of a fine.
OK, let's take a quick look through the markets.
Well, despite a string of disappointing economic data, the Asian markets largely positive today in trading. The exception, of course, being the Chinese shares that you can see there dipped down into the red. Among the fallers, the tech giant Tencent down 2% in Hong Kong, despite reporting profits yesterday increased by almost 60%. Even the Kospi in Seoul, in fact, dipping into negative territory in the past while. So the Nikkei in Tokyo, the only bright spot there.
OK, next up, agricultural officials here in Europe have a fruit-based headache.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they're going to be discussing it at a meeting of the European Commission Agriculture Committee later. They'll be talking about how to support producers affected by the Russian import ban on fruit. But in Belgium, they're going one step further, encouraging people to eat an extra pear per week to help local producers who've lost their Russian customers. Nicholas Rushworth explains.
Munching more pears in a town called Pear in Belgium. People here are defying the Russian ban on European food imports by eating an extra pear a week. That's to make up for the loss of business with Russia, which comes to 90,000 tonnes a year. Sales of pears have doubled.
I used to take a couple, but now I buy 4. What a drama.
Defiant pear-eating Belgians have taken to the social networks to say they will resist President Vladimir Putin. Belgium is the third largest pear producer after the Netherlands and Spain in the European Union. The campaign is welcomed by local producers. 2/3 of Belgian pears go to Russia.
It's heartwarming to see this. It shows we're not being forgotten. A sign, perhaps, that we can change things.
Across the border in France, consumers say they would follow the Belgian example.
I prefer buying local produce.
I have favoured French producers for a long time.
Aside Belgian pears, the Russian embargo is also hitting other European food exports, from Norwegian salmon to Dutch cheese.
Quick look now at some of the day's other business stories. And the technology firm Cisco is to cut up to 6,000 jobs, or 8% of its workforce. The announcement came after the company, which makes network equipment and software, reported a 1% fall in profit in the second quarter to $2.2 billion. This fresh round of cuts brings 8,000 to 18,000 the number of jobs lost at Cisco in the past 3 years. HSBC has given 15 of its top bankers special pay deals worth a total of almost €9 million. The so-called fixed pay allowance arrangements allow the bank to circumvent EU rules that limit bonuses to twice an employee's annual salary. The head of HSBC's investment bank, Samir Asaf, got the biggest payment of shares worth more than €1.8 million. And profits of the world's largest computer maker, Lenovo, rose by 23% between April and June. The Chinese firm says sales of its mobile devices rose by almost a third over the period, reflecting its investment in smartphones and tablets. Its PC business also saw gains, with shipments rising 15% over the past year.
Finally, Stephen, new economic growth figures due out, a nail-biting time for European governments.
Yeah, particularly here in France, they'll be watching very closely. In fact, in just about 10 minutes' time, the government will be getting the figures for the second quarter of this year. They've set a target of 1% growth for this year, but growth was flat in the first 3 months of 2014. It doesn't look like it's going to be much higher in the next 3 months. Already the signs that we have aren't particularly positive. Inflation figures out yesterday showed that prices rose by just 0.5% year on year in July, and prices actually fell between June and July. Now, low growth means the chance of France meeting its budget targets are even less likely. It's going to be pretty difficult reading for President Hollande and his government.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Time to say hello to Florence Vleminot, who's going to be taking us through the French press, starting off with grim economic predictions in France.
That's right. That's what Stephen was just